Okay, so the practice questions for Chapter 2. The first question, we're looking back and trying to determine, with the information that's given to us, the best year in terms of real income for this individual was which year. So when we look at the actual income, the real income for those individuals, we have to take price index in mind. So we have a current price, but we know that that price has been inflated by a certain amount. So to get it back to those real numbers and to be able to truly compare apples and apples, we're going to go backward. So we have our current price, in this example is $3.20. We're going to divide that by the price index. We determine it by multiplying it, but in this case we're trying to go back and determine real dollars. We're going to say divide that by 1.10, and that's going to come up with $2.90. If we take the same for the 290, divide it by its index, the 280, divide it by its index, and we realize that $2.90 has a higher value, obviously, than the other two. So in real dollars, as we look back, we can say that this 1998 was the best year given that information. So the output produced in bushels and the prices of this output. So now we're going to look back at costs, again associated with certain years. We know that we have a farmer that's looking at the price index for 2012. So if we look at the base year of 2011, what is its price index going to be? 2011's price index is going to be a 1.0. So when we go back and we compare those to the other ones to come up with the price indexes, the first one is $3.20, and we know that the base year was 290 because this is our base year. So we have the 320 divided by 290, and that's going to equal 1.10. So that's our index for this first group for 2010. Do the same math. We're looking at the $3.50. We're going to compare that back to, or divide it by the base year at 290. And when we do that, we're going to end up with 1.207. And that's our answer right there. Number 3, we know that the retail value, so the cost that somebody pays in the store is $2.89 for eggs. The farmer is going to receive $1.04 per dozen. So we know that that's what their cut is. So we're trying to find out what percent is $1.04 when compared to $2.89. So we take $1.04, divide that by $2 and oh, I did that one. I transposed that. So there's a pretty good example here. See how it's still supposed to be $2.89, and I put $2.98. I transposed those two. They're close enough. I believe that the numbers were still going to come out. Double check, but we should come out around 36%, and that's backward. 36% of the markup. So of that total value, only 36% of it goes to that producer. So in this case, we're trying to determine what is the equity for this tobacco farmer. We do see that our range is between 6 and 50. If we look at the total assets up here being 50 and the total liabilities equal 38, we know that our equity is going to be the third leg in this triangle. So we have assets is going to be equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. So when we take our assets, take away our liabilities, what remains is then equity, or that gets given back to or plowed back into the value of the company. If we look at the base year, so you almost have to always start with these as almost read them backwards. So we're looking at relative to from an answer standpoint. That means that we're going to compare all of these back to a certain year. Well, when we look at that, what was our index year? Our index for the base year was 1995. So just kind of reduction is going to say, well, this is out and that's out because these are both 1995. That is our base year, so we're going to relate that back to our base year. So we have relative to 1995, And then we have to go back and say, well, in 1995 was 100 or 1.0. In 2000, it was 1.02. So that's only 2% higher than 95. So that 1.02. It's not 102% higher. It's not 102% higher. So really, we've kind of narrowed these two down, and we've narrowed these two down. So this is your answer, 2% higher in 2000 relative to 1995. These questions are really easy to kind of get yourself worked around. So just kind of step back, take a look at the options, see what they're trying to give you, and then try to find exactly what it is that they're asking for. Again, in this one, let the base year be 1.0 in 1998. So we're going to look at 1998, 1,000, and that's going to be the base year of 1.0. So if we look at 1999, and we're just looking for the index of 99, you can see our math over here. 99, there was 75,000. So in comparison, 100,000, 75,000, that's 75% of that base year. So 0.75. This one really is just kind of looking at were you paying attention in terms of what goes into that final number. So it's asking the net farm income of this operation. So first thing we have to determine is the gross farm income. So that's going to be our cash, our government receipts, and then other income. And that brings us to a cool $1 million. We take that $1 million and we subtract out those production costs, and that gives us $600,000 of net income. So we look at question 8. Question 8 is another one where we have to go back and kind of build. I told a few people, make sure you just go ahead and build the table yourself, and that helps you say in 1990, 2,400 was the base year. Excuse me, 24,000, that is the base year, so the index is 1.0. So now we look at this number for 2012. If the index was then 1.5, we have to multiply that original number for the base year. We got to multiply that by that index. So we have 24,000 times 1.5. That gives us the 36,000. Question 9, we had the discussion quite a bit. Look at packaging and transportation. A lot of further processing of agricultural products are done in bulk. Transportation is done in bulk. Packaging is, again, done in bulk. We just recently started going to the individually wrapped apples or individually wrapped different pieces of fruit. So the biggest amount of the off-farm or past the farm gate expenses really comes in the labor getting those items to market. Here's a situation where we had to go back and kind of compare our output versus price. And then when we did that, we looked at the individual years. So 2008, we had $2 was our price, and we produced 6,000 of those. So that is our base year at 12,000. If we look at 2009, we've got 8,000 in terms of our output. $2.60 was our price, but our index is going to be 1.1 in terms of our price change, and we're going to bring that back later because we have to divide that out. So we have we just multiply these two out. That's 2.6 times 8,000, and we end up with 20,800 divided by the 1.1 gives us 18,909. 2010, we have 10,000 in output. Multiply that by the price that we received, and that gives us 25,000. The price index is actually going to be 1.4. So we divide that 25,000 by 1.4, and we get $17,857.10. That's kind of hiding over there, so can't get to that. That's 10 cents. So when we look at the year that has the best real income, we can see that it is going to be our 2009 year with this 18,909.